This video is not clickbait. I actually submitted a Minecraft video into a real film festival. And not only did it get in, but, well, you guys read the title. How exactly this happened has been a story 2 years in the making. And today I am finally here to tell it to you. So let me set the scene. It's 2022. And I have hit a bit of a dry spell. I'd been making Minecraft videos for a few years by this point, but my long-running SMP, Relics SMP, had finally come to its end, and I wasn't sure what I wanted to create next. And that's when I came up with my newest idea, a post-apocalyptic SMP. Now, people have done post-apocalyptic SMPs before. That is nothing new on its own, but I wanted to create something truly unique. Enter Project Dread. A story where the world was not hit by one apocalypse, not 2 apocalypses, but by 8 different apocalyptic threats. But for such a story to be told, I would first need to explain how such a biblically large apocalypse could even happen. Now, I could always take the easy way out and say it was some unexplainable event or some kind of divine intervention, but I felt that would be a bit of a cop-out. What I wanted was something more tangible, something a bit more human to explain this completely inhuman event. What's more, I wanted to tell a story that asked, why? Why would someone do this? How would someone do this? Enter Kailex von Domhage, aka the man who ended the world. Now, I spent a lot of time thinking about why Kailex would do this. There's always the classic trope of the scientist gone too far, a big accident perhaps, but that didn't seem like it would make sense for an apocalypse of this scale. This kind of thing could really only happen on purpose, and so that was the concept for Kailex. Someone who ended the world not because it was an accident or a misunderstanding, but simply because he could. Now, I spent a lot of time thinking about how I wanted to tell Kailex's story, and eventually I settled on taking a slow and methodical approach. Not spoon-feeding the audience information, but drip-feeding it, piece by piece. And pretty soon this project went from a Minecraft SMP to a full-on ARG series. In the final log, I revealed the truth behind this research, to create the perfect apocalypse, as Kailex called it. I followed that up with some videos delving into Kailex's backstory, and the events that led up to him creating this apocalypse. And finally, with the push of a button, the apocalypse began. For each apocalypse, I made a video showcasing the events that occurred. Meanwhile, I was still working on the actual SMP that was Project Dread. And for the most part, I was doing this all by myself, and it was a lot of work. A lot more than I had first anticipated when I came up with the idea. Altogether, this took over a year to complete. But in truth, all of this is really just a prelude to what this video is actually about. At this point, I had finished all the build-up, I had finished the server, and I had one thing left to do. I knew from the very start that this series of videos was going to have an ending, and I knew exactly what I wanted it to be. Not drip-feeding, not slow, methodical approach, but a big reveal. A video which would finally explain Kailex's story from start to finish and allude to why he did this. And this video is the one that would go on to win the film festival. For a while, this video almost felt like it was never gonna get made. It had just been an idea floating around in my head for so long that it felt kind of illusory. But when it finally came time to put it down on paper and make this video, boy, was I ready. Now, I knew it was not going to connect with everyone, and it was definitely a bit, shall we say, avant-garde for a Minecraft video, but people surprisingly seemed to like it, and I was more than happy to leave it at that. Now, let's skip ahead about 8 months. Not much happened during this time, but I was working on the sequel to the video, called the Kailex Files. And it was around this point that an idea appeared. Much like the start of this video, one small idea that quickly festered into something bigger. My university was holding their annual film festival, and I didn't have anything to submit. But then I realized, I've been making these Minecraft videos for a while now, and I've gotten pretty good at them. What if I tried to submit one to the film festival? And I immediately knew which one it was going to be. Now, I knew this was a crazy idea, but I really had nothing to lose. Worst case scenario, the film wouldn't get accepted and it would end at that. I had a few hurdles to get over first. Mainly, the time. In order to submit to the film festival, a film would need to be under 5 minutes, and The Man Who Ended the World was 10 minutes. And that was a big problem. I couldn't just cut this story in half. That would be cutting out a lot of the context and themes, and I personally was not willing to make that sacrifice. But I had another idea. Each student is allowed to submit 2 films to the festival, and there isn't any rule saying you can't submit 2 parts of one film. I asked my professor, who is a part of the film festival committee, and lo and behold, he told me it was allowed. Cutting the video in half was a bit harder than I had first expected, but it was definitely possible, and I made a lot of adjustments in this time. I sent the video out to tons of my friends and even showed it to a couple of my professors to get their feedback. This video was starting to turn into something more than just a pretty good Minecraft video. It was starting to look like an actual short film. Now, I knew this video wasn't going to win any awards or anything like that, but if I could just get it into the festival, that would be good enough for me. So, with all the feedback in mind and the film finally complete, I had one thing left to do. I uploaded the film and submitted it. Now, at this point, I was starting to feel more and more confident that my film was going to get in. Maybe a little too confident. And at that point was when life decided to humble me a little bit. I got a message from the festival organizers, and it wasn't good news. The festival said they were only willing to show one half of my film. Like I said, there was no rule against 2-part films, but there was no guarantee it was going to get in. Now, I did try and reason with them, telling them I didn't care about the awards and I just wanted to get my film shown at the festival, but they didn't budge. I had come so far and was so proud of my film, and only getting to show one half of it at the festival seemed like a failure to me. My biggest concern was that the audience just wasn't going to connect with it if I only showed one half. Now I had a big decision to make. Which half of the film was the one I wanted to show at the festival? And the choice was pretty obvious. While I'd prefer the second half of the film and think it's the better of the two, it's hard to understand what's going on without proper context. So, a bit reluctantly, I bit the bullet and settled on showing the first half of the film. So, with the little hope I had left, it was finally time, and I entered the film festival. I waited in anticipation as each film played, waiting for mine to show up. Finally, my film started to play, and my stomach dropped. As the audience slowly started to realize what they were watching, their initial reaction was laughter. Not a great start. However, as the film continued, I could tell the audience was beginning to change their tune. I could tell the room was getting quieter, and people were watching more closely. When the film finally ended, I got a round of applause. Of course, the audience applauds for every film, no matter how good it is, but it still meant something to me that my film had played on the big screen and that the audience had clapped for it. It was a sign that maybe I hadn't completely fucked up this time. And that was when we reached the awards, the final part of the festival, a part that I thought didn't really matter to me, given my Minecraft film. Now, I had my guesses about which films would win. I had my personal favorites, and I was a little surprised by some of the judges' decisions, but there was one decision that completely caught me off guard. Second place overall, The Man Who Ended the World by Evan Williams. To say this was a shock would be an understatement. For a moment, I genuinely had to make sure I wasn't dreaming. I mean, I like my film, I think it's pretty good, but I only showed half of it for one, and Even if I had showed the full thing, I don't really think it deserved to win an award, especially not second. As I came to terms with this, my mind started to think, what if? What if my film had gotten shown in its entirety? Would I have gotten first? I don't know. And what if my film wasn't a Minecraft video? What if it was the same exact story, but in live action or animated in a different software? It really felt like, despite all odds, this had happened. After the festival, people kept coming up to me, telling me how much they loved the film. Some of them my friends, of course, but some of them people I had never met, complete strangers to me. And just days later, I finally got what I was waiting for. The judges had given me some feedback on my film. So let's read some of that. Let's hear what the raving reviews are. Wow, really wonderful work. The script is great. I love that I could hear the narration clearly, and the music was complementary to the visuals. The animation was engaging and fun. The Minecraft animation was engaging and fun. Where is part 2 would be my only question. Yeah, where is part 2? If only they had showed it. I really liked this. Everything worked well together. The music and narration, the editing, nice job. Short and sweet. But this final judge, I can't get over what she said. Love seeing an animation story here. Minecraft animation. Script and storytelling are solid. We are engaged by the journey of the son, relate to the expectations and trying to impress a tough parent. Part 2 is well set up. The animation is fun and the different Lego-like characters actually have personalities. The different Lego-like characters. I don't think this judge realized that this was a Minecraft film. So apart from this admittedly pretty cool little award, what else did I actually win? Well, the prize for second place was $300. Not bad for a Minecraft video, I'd say. I also was invited to go on a panel to talk about the film, and I got pretty into it, to be honest. I ended up saying more than like any of the other festival winners there about my film, and I don't know if that's a good thing or not, but the audience seemed invested, so... Now before I close off, I want to clarify a couple things. First of all, this was a student film festival, so I wasn't competing against any professionals or anything like that, just other film students at my school. Admittedly, they're pretty good, I think. Some of their films, I could say, could measure up to real professional films, but that's something to keep in mind. Of course, my one regret is that I never did get to show the second half to the audience. And I'm sure there's still people out there waiting in bated breath for the second half of my Minecraft video to be shown to them. Well, luckily for them, they won't have to wait long, because a week from this video's upload, which might already be past by the time you're watching it, I will be releasing the full film in its entirety on YouTube. I'm really excited for you guys to see it, and I'd like to hear your thoughts. I wonder, do you think I deserve this award? All in all though, thank you guys for watching this kind of weird video, and I hope to see you in an entirely different one.